Terroir. I'm Simon Jacob, your host for this episode from Jerusalem. Before we get started, I ask that wherever you are, please take a moment and pray for the safety of our soldiers and the safe return of all of our hostages. The following is a conversation with one of the most respected personalities in the Israeli wine industry, the owner of Castel Winery, Eli Ben-Zaken. Eli was originally very reluctant to participate in this podcast, as I'd invited him just as the war broke out. The extreme violence directed towards our women and children really mentally impacted everyone here in Israel, and it was hard to focus on anything else for weeks. Eventually, he came to the conclusion that life in Israel must go on, and that delaying was only playing to the terrorists' ultimate desires. Born in Egypt, Eli's journey and experiences finally led him to Israel. His adventures here could easily be serialized into a blockbuster movie. Of note to me was that even though he has an exceptionally driven personality, his path through life has been surrounded by misadventures and negative outside forces. But at the same time, it has been a step-by-step successful progression of being in just the right place at just the right time. We toured the old Castel Winery, which they have now upgraded into the home winery of their sister brand, Razíel. We continued stopping to taste many of their latest wines in the midst of development. We were also treated to a look into the progress of their sparkling wine adventure. Eli, the consummate showman, wowed us for over 3 hours on a morning after having outside guard duty the night before. I'm incredibly thankful to him for his patience and openness in our discussions, and especially his dedicating so much time to us. If you're commuting, please focus on the road and enjoy. If you're home, please choose a delicious kosher Israeli wine, sit back, and listen in on a truly interesting conversation with this exceptional leader.
Well, here we are in the old Castel.
First of all, thank you very much for agreeing to be on the Kosher Terroir podcast. Thank you.
Well, I hesitated very much because it was, your invitation came, the war has started.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to in Hebrew, litnatek, to get away from what's happening and think of other things.
I know you were very reluctant,
yeah.
because of the timing and because of the war.
Yeah. Now I changed my mind a little bit.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. Thank you.
I think we have to prove that it will not disturb our everyday life, that we have to carry on. So
show me.
The premises here is I don't know if you've ever been before.
I've never been. I've never been to.
This is the first Castel.
This is the first Castel.
This is the first Castel. If you look at the low roof, this is the original structure of the chicken shed.
Wow.
Which was like this until the end there, and also here. Here you can still see the pipes. We built this in spring 73 as stables.
As stables.
Stables. We wanted to have a riding club here, and you saw Fear.
Yeah.
His father and I built this.
Wow.
And in the end, the war came, and we were away for 6 months, both of us, and there was no more money to feed the horses. They had to be given away, and And that was the end of the horse adventure.
Yeah.
Later, this became a chicken shed.
This was after the restaurant in Jerusalem?
No. This is before. We're talking
Okay.
73. We're talking 73. We're talking 74 after I came back
Right.
from the front, and no money. Certainly not to buy any meat.
Right.
And 3 children. The youngest 1-year-old and the oldest 4. And my wife selling Tupperwares, and I giving English lessons and bridge lessons. And until 75, when I got a job in Kibbutz Suba in a new hatchery, with our future was uncertain.
Wow.
I came from not to Israel. I was born in Egypt.
Your family was from where? They were Halabim? They were...
No, from my father's side, his father was Moroccan, from Tangier.
Okay.
Not from Tangier, from Tetuan.
Okay.
You know, it's a Spanish enclave in Morocco. And his wife, my grandmother, was from Damascus, not Halab, but
Damascus,
from Damascus, and the Mawas family. And we were planning. My father was. I am an only child, and the war for us stopped us. After we were planning more. In fact, we made 3 in 34 months.
Wow.
But the war and the financial situation we were in after the war prevented us from thinking of any more children. I came to Israel. I am the only one in the family who came to Israel. Wow. My father was an armchair Zionist. And I heard a lot of stories about how proud he was of Israel. But then we, when it was time to go anywhere, it was Australia. And at the last minute, he got a job in Italy, in a firm he was representing in Egypt. So we went to Italy. My mother was Italian. And that's it.
Wow.
So I came to Israel in...
what year?
In 70, September 70. Actually, it's very interesting. I don't know, some things are there to make you ask questions, but you don't know where to look for the answer. I left Egypt on the 20th of September, 58. On the 20th of September, 70, the Sochnut put me on a boat from Marseille to Israel. That means I did exactly the trip in the other direction. Eitan was born in Jerusalem, 14th of May, 71, and for the 14th of May 71 in the Jewish calendar was Yom Yerushalayim.
Wow.
No, I have other dates like that.
There are no coincidences.
I was born on the 18th of September. It was Rosh Hashanah.
Wow.
My son Ariel was born 18th of September, Yom Kippur.
Wow. Wow.
We covered all the
holidays.
All the holidays.
Wow.
So anyway, I came to Ramat Razíel 71. I realized that I wanted to live next to to the land, to have real roots, to have a house that will last generations. I became a restaurateur, which saved us financially. Suddenly we had money.
Baruch Hashem.
And we redid it with the house. It was a mistake. We should have taken it down completely and built a new house. But they called them Sochnut houses. They were built standard building, cheap. In '88, I planted this vineyard.
So this was the first vineyard?
This was the first vineyard.
Wow.
It is on a plot that is very, very rocky, very hard rock. And I couldn't plant any other trees there. So, because it was so not rocky in the sense of stones, really flat rock.
Right.
So I got with about 20, 30 centimeters of soil. I got a bagger to break the rock in the rows,
right,
so that the roots could get through. And this is from this came the first Castel Grand Vin in Harvest 92. If you go back and visit in Yad HaShmona,
okay,
there is a video showing the first harvest.
Wow. Wow, wow.
I saw it last year.
Yeah, it's going for 1 year already.
So who already, these are so beautifully trained, they're unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, you already learned how to do the vines, train the vines and what have you?
These have been replanted.
Okay. But these are just amazing anyway.
Yeah. These are being replanted, and this is very unusual, These are 1,000 vines per hectare, per dunam.
Wow.
That is very, very high density.
Right.
In Suba, we are the only ones in Israel probably who have high density vineyards. In Suba, we planted in 2002. High density, it's 660.
Wow.
Plants per dunam. We have come to the conclusion that it's not really improving very much. It is true that about 440 is the best in Israel.
Ideal.
The ideal in Israel.
But this is how many?
This is 1,000.
Wow. No, that's what I'm looking, and it's like so.
And very low also.
Yeah.
Okay, when on a very small plot you can do it. We have renewed all the winemaking here, moving to wooden tanks.
Wow.
Which are more appropriate to Mediterranean
Varietals?
We do Syrah, Carignan, Mourvèdre, Grenache. And of course, we have some big tanks for blending, and we can taste something here.
Very cool.
סעדיה, בוא תביא לנו כוסות, תן לנו לטעום פה משהו.
These come from where?
From France.
These come from France.
These are very expensive, and they only last about 10 years.
I'll tell you something. I have always been unbelievably impressed by by the new winery and the barrel room. You could almost eat off of the floor of the barrel room. It's so clean and so well kept.
Once Adam Montefiore wrote that I built the two most beautiful
wineries.
barrel rooms.
In Israel.
Yeah. There's one here,
Yeah.
and the one there. This is a rosé.
This is the rosé.
This is not the rosé. This is a rosé made from Mourvèdre.
This is my favorite to taste rosé, but I haven't ever tasted it from a wooden barrel. I've only tasted it from steel.
This is, this is the Razíel Rosé.
Okay.
This is only from Mourvèdre. This is only from Mourvèdre.
Wow.
It's not blended. It will be blended. These are. This is a wine that is fermented in barrel, not here.
Yeah.
Fermented. You'll see in 600 liters barrels, big barrels, and now it is here, and also in the barrels down, and it will be bottled around May, June. This is the Razíel, will be the Razíel Rosé 23.
Yeah. I can't spit it yet. It's too good.
It already really has the characters of a rosé.
This is my, favorite way to taste rosé.
So here we make the wines, and it used to be all stainless steel tanks here.
Yeah.
In fact, the easy things was to stay with the same tanks and do more. In fact, the easiest thing was to make more of Castel here.
Right.
But we decided to do new things. So, and it is not like, I don't like to talk about other wineries, but what is done usually is that a winery would have different varieties and make different wines of different backgrounds.
Yep.
And we in Castel were Bordeaux.
Totally.
Focused, because when I started in 92 and or 88, when I planted the vineyard next to the house, for me, the only wine I really knew and I really loved was Bordeaux. And the white is Chardonnay.
Between those two.
But in between those two, Chardonnay for me is the reddest of the white wines.
White wines. Yeah, because it's full.
It's full. It ages well in barrels. It's I love Chardonnay. I have the story I love to tell is my first Chardonnay. I was on a gastronomical trip with my wife in France, and we go to Burgundy, to the town of Puligny, and there is a restaurant there with 2 stars. It's November, it's nearly empty. We order the food, and when we get to the wine, I said, what is the local wine? We're talking about 85. I'm still far away from wine.
Right.
And she says, Puligny Montrachet. And I said, what color wine is this?
Is that? Wow. Okay.
And she says, white. And I said, well Bura Haaretz, and I feel so ashamed. I said, okay, I don't like white, but I'll order a bottle. And,
one of the best whites in France.
A bottle for then, it was about $100.
Right.
But the dollar was very strong and the franc was very low then. And when I tasted, I had tears in my eyes. I told my wife, if I didn't know the color, I would be sure it was a red wine. Right. So this is how I fell in love with. But we only made, we started really very slowly. We started with 2 barrels from the plot here in 92, bottled in 95, and in the meantime growing slowly, like from 600 bottles to 2,000 to 3,000. And for 6 years, we only made Grand Vin. We didn't make other wines. Mm-hmm. Only in 98, we added the Petit Castel in full force. That means definitely. And a trial of 3 barrels of Chardonnay. So really and then we stayed with 3 wines. We are talking of 98. 2009 is the first rosé. You know, there's a lot of talk about new wines.
Yeah.
And okay, it's fun, but it's fun, and for people looking for their place in the wine industry and so on. All this is really beseder. But you cannot build an estate like we have with playing around. People like to ask, and what's new? And I said, it's a new vintage.
You know, I'll tell you something. I only started drinking Castel in 2002 and a half. In 2002, half of the run was kasher. So that's the only time I drank it. And from then on, I have some 2003 Petit Castels that people said, no, Grand Vin, that's good, but Petit Castel, it'll never last. Unbelievable wines. They're just fantastic.
Look, I'll let you in a secret.
Yep.
We grow our own grapes, except for the vines we have in Kibbutz Suba. All the rest we grow. Maybe we buy 5 to 10% from other origins, mostly to check. The sparkling wine we make in Razíel is totally not from the region. It's from the Golan Heights, from Merom Golan, 1,000-meter altitude.
How high is it here?
Here it's 700.
Okay, because it seems very high.
It's 700.
Yeah, okay.
But we'll talk about the terroir here maybe afterwards.
Right.
We're talking Petit Castel.
Okay.
And the aging capacity. Because we grow our own grapes, we can produce really a lot of very good grapes. So, but the standard and is always gets also higher and higher with time. That's what, and so, but in the end, when we taste the vintage before blending and decide what will go in what, we mark them with A, B, C, and the number of A wines, because they all put in barrels separately. You know, it's not every plot is put in barrel as a plot, as a tank, as a plot, and we keep them like this until May the year after. So when you have too many A's wines, and you cannot flood the market with Grand Vin, and also keep the Grand Vin for 2 years, for a second year in the barrel room. So there's a limit of how many barrels of full you can keep from 1 year to the other. So really, there's not much difference. It is more Merlot than Cabernet, usually. It's more fruity, but with age potential. I can open a bottle of first vintage 98 if you want.
I won't drink it.
You won't drink it.
I'm sorry.
But it was not, we never worked on Shabbat.
No, you know what? I'll tell you something. You could convince me, but...
These are traditional Burgundy barrels. We use only traditional style barrels. They cost a little more, but for the aesthetics, it's. So we are now in the sparkling wine operation.
Okay.
It used to be the Chardonnay cellar of Castel, and we have transformed it with, as you can see, little tanks.
Yeah.
Little tanks, and because we have many wines. For example, this wine is a blend with wines from 2016.
Oh.
There's also 17, 18 in it, and so on.
Right.
This one is Chardonnay from 21. Here we have also Pinot Noir. This is a Chardonnay from 20. This is this year, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay blend. This is this year's wine. And what you have in the barrels is all Chardonnay for sparkling, not Chardonnay
for the sparkling, not for the sea.
Yeah, not for the sea. Yeah. But they're sea old barrels.
Okay. That's why they have the dates on them from then. Okay.
No, it's,
that's I'm figuring it. Okay.
They first started working in 1917.
Right.
So they're 6 years old. So we start with the blend, the oldest blend we have.
So I just want to tell you one other thing that I noticed in the barrel room. Most other people who have barrels put them on metal racks.
Yeah.
Not only is every barrel absolutely perfectly aligned, but you do it with these wooden blocks, which must be an unbelievable amount of effort to get them exactly aligned. And it makes the whole room look amazing.
It's a traditional handwork.
Yes.
You can't...
Look at that color. Can I just say, I can go on record because I'm not the official podcaster. Your Blanc is absolutely my favorite white wine in the world. Absolutely my favorite.
You know, in France, they pour back after tasting. If you have wine left, they pour it back in the barrel. So this is our oldest blend. When we make the non-vintage sparkling, we take from different vintages.
In Portugal.
This is 21. Salty.
What?
It's
salty.
20 was a particularly good vintage.
20?
Yeah, in Marron-Golan.
The 20 Petit Castel is absolutely my favorite vintage of that.
Have you had the 21 yet? Because I had it on the plane and it was spectacular also.
The 20 was just like...
Petit Castel can age as much as Castel. And, as I say in Hebrew, Yeshanu Kabbalot. We have receipts for that. So this is this year's vintage. Chardonnay from Marron-Golan. Most of it will go into this year's bottling of sparkling wine.
This is super approachable. This is amazing.
Nice.
It really is nice.
So this is previous bottlings of sparkling wine. They're on the lees.
Yeah.
every 6 months we move them from one place to the other so that
They mix it up.
so that the leaves can mix again. And we still have, we make every year 3 cuvées. One is non-vintage. We make non-vintage, rosé non-vintage, and a vintage wine, a vintage sparkling. The first one was 2018, and it is still here. We haven't released it. There are only about 1,100 bottles of it. And Ophir says by the time we want to release it, we won't be any left because we tasted it. So you can see.
Yes, wow.
You see if you go like this.
You said we'll come back in.
These are the 600 liters barrels.
Yeah, they're twice the size, yeah.
3 times nearly. And it is, we ferment in it, and we have pipes, flexible pipes we put in.
Yep.
During fermentation with cold water. That means we can control the temperature of the fermentation. And in fact, all the wine, all the rosé and all the sparkling wines undergo fermentation in these barrels. Then they're taken away.
I was never here before. Wow.
You know, when you came in, after the gate on your right, there are olive trees.
Yes.
They're on top of that.
Wow. Wow.
So these are we use them to ferment. For example, all the Chardonnay for the sparkling wine was fermented here, but it is being aged there. After fermentation, it went there. And you will be the first, not from the family or the team,
Yep.
to taste our first white from Razíel.
Wow.
First one from Razíel, it's 85% Roussanne. Upstairs, you taste it Grenache and Syrah,
Yeah.
and a little Mourvèdre.
Yeah. This is the Mourvèdre.
This is another Mourvèdre.
It's beautiful.
We did, we were not able, we didn't have enough tanks to do it separately. So, 75% of the wine, it's Roussanne, by the way.
Yeah.
Roussanne with a little Viognier.
Wow.
And so what we did is
You're really playing. You're having a good time here. I know.
75% is without malolactic fermentation,
Right.
and 25% did malolactic fermentation.
You could be a traditionalist, but this is an incredible, scope of experimentation and, beautiful wine. So, wow.
By the way, in this room,
Yep.
you can see there the stack of wood on your left after the barrels. These are what the French call pupitres, desks. In these, you turn the bottles of sparkling wine in the traditional method by hand to get the lees down.
Wow.
So soon, in February, March, these will go away, and
The tables will be here.
yeah. So this is the first Roussanne.
This is lovely.
No, this is on the level of Chardonnay, traditional. It's in wood, not in small barrels, but in 600-liter barrels. But on the lees, batonnage once a week. So here, as you can see, we have Bordeaux barrels, which are which we get from Castel, because we don't want to have a new wood here. These are 18, 19 barrels. That means they are 4 or 5 years old. But slowly we are getting the big barrels. That means the first year the vintage is put in small barrels. The second year it goes into large barrels. In March, all this will go up, the big barrels of 22. 21 is already bottled, but not. This will go up, and 23 will go into it. So this will be bottled March, April, kept for 6 months in the bottle, and then.
So again, this is the 21?
22.
22.
21 is already bottled, but not.
Okay, the 22, right. He said the 22. I love this experiment.
Well, you see, our experiments are large-scale experiments.
It's, no, but it's also...
Yeah, we have to, in my opinion, people have to decide what they want to be. Of course, it is not final. For example, my consultant winemaker tells me you have to decide whether you are in this wine Northern Rhone or Côte du Rhône.
Okay.
I have no answer, but definitely there's a style of wine we want to make, and we put all our efforts, from the beginning. Castel has never cut corners, and even when we didn't have money and we were on the verge of bankruptcy, we bought the new barrels. And in the long run, it's proven itself.
You have to believe in yourself before other people believe in you.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes you can have nightmares. Thank you.
This is the equipment for the sparkling wine. It's crazy. In Europe, where people are producing sparkling wine, small producers can have people who their job is to give you a service. They come with a truck and they do the disgorgement for you and so on. And it's really pennies. The equipment you can see here is 100,000 euros.
Wow. Wow.
So really, even when we play,
It's an investment. It's a huge investment.
We put all the best cards, all the jokers in our hand, and then if we fail, we don't blame the equipment, but only ourselves.
This is your
This is it's a collection of some Israelis, some from abroad. Here is a Vitkin, for example. 12. Petite Syrah. Here are all the Castel 98 first vintage, Petit Castel. Tulip here. Ramat Razíel 83. First vintage.
I'm sure it's still good. No, it's crazy. That's the first vintage?
First vintage
Wow.
of Ramat Razíel. Clos de Gat,
Oh,
2002. Wow. Merlot.
2005.
It's time to open these bottles.
This is what you call it. This is the old Carmel. 79. This was one of the best vintages. The
Yeah.
76 was.
We
Was-
finished the 76.
I opened a bottle of the 76. I finished the 76 and the 79. But I opened the bottle of the 76 with Jay Buxbaum.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I found it in my cellar. I'm sure it's not good anymore. And he said, let's open that up. That's supposed to be very, very good. And it was excellent. The other two bottles that I had were terrible. But that one bottle that we opened were superb. Oh, this is SHL. A 2000. Wow. I have a 2000. Wow. And these are all your big bottles. 97s, 96s, 97s. Wow. Baruch Hashem. Amazing. So is this the width of a barrel?
Sorry?
Is this the width of a barrel? No.
In its length.
In its
When
length.
the width of the barrel, not the height of the barrel.
Wow.
And these are, with a trolley,
Yeah.
we bring every single barrel you've seen there has gone through there. The big ones don't come through here. We have a hole in the ceiling here
Yeah.
with a winch, and they're taken down one by one.
Wow.
I was sorry not to be immediate receiving you this morning.
Why?
You came early, and
I came early. That's okay.
and I had guard duty this night.
What?
I had guard duty.
Okay. Oi.
Do you want to go up to the house?
We can. Yes, I would love to. Let's go.
Hopefully this year we'll make olive oil. We have, these are trees that I planted here about 10 years ago. They were already 25 years old.
Wow.
They came from a moshav not far away, Mesilat Zion. They wanted to plant a vineyard, and in Israel you cannot destroy an olive tree. You have to find somewhere where to replant it. So I bought them for very little money. But they were manzolino. It's an olive to eat, not to make olive oil. So 2 years ago we grafted them all with Suri olives.
Yes.
By the way, Suri is not from Syrian.
Okay.
It's from Tzor.
Oh, interesting.
You see this rock here?
That's what's underneath all of this.
All that was like that.
Wow.
So I couldn't put any fruit trees. I had no intention really of making wine, really. But I had no dream and when I couldn't plant anything else except for vines here, I said, okay, vines, but I'm not going to eat all these grapes.
Right.
So it has to be for wine. So I planted Cabernet and Merlot. I planted Cabernet first as they plant in Israel, 3 meters by 1.5 meter between vines. And then I said to myself, anyway, you're not going to go into this small plot with a tractor. It will be all hand work. So in between the rows of Cabernet, I put a row of Merlot. And I harvested them, and I had no idea what is, the right maturity. And we harvested them together, the Cabernet and the Merlot. And it came out a wine surprisingly good.
Wow.
When I bought the farm, here was the chicken shed. And it was all in wood and asbestos roof. And Shimon Zal, the father of here, and I, we dismantled it. We built the frames of what was supposed to be one day a stable. And to adapt all the asbestos we had here, I cut them with disc for days. And then to think now what we know about asbestos and what we didn't know then. Luckily went through it without any damage.
So sorry you weren't able to live the dream of the horses, but thank you.
Yeah.
It's in my DNA. I like challenges. The same about the sparkling wine.
Yeah. You have to love challenges to take on sparkling wines.
This is incredible.
Yes.
How they made this. You can't really see it. Yeah, maybe you can.
Yes.
The Arabs, they came with pieces of bark of suri.
Yeah.
With the eye where potentially you can have a shoot. Here they cut the same size of the bark. They put the new piece of bark on it. They they wrapped a film, plastic film on it for a month until it was sure that it took.
Taken. Yeah.
And then with time, it's grown.
Yeah.
You can see the cut here.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, right here, all the way down.
Yeah. But we have to go through for example, this.
To prune those back.
Yeah. This does not belong. All this.
Yeah, that's the old growth. That's the growth coming out of the original tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can sit outside also.
Wherever you'd like.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe outside.
Let's sit outside. It's good.
Did you get the book?
Not yet. I'm going to buy one.
Yeah.
Tada. I was going to go buy the winery to buy it. So thank you. It's amazing.
We can go through the kitchen and outside.
You have the right person write it.
Well, it was obvious.
What?
For me, it was obvious who
right.
will write it. What would you like to drink?
I'm okay. You know what? What do you have that's open?
No, nothing is open, but I'll open it for you. I have in the fridge a sparkling wine.
Yeah, yes. I have sparkling wine. I have some of your sparkling wines as well, but I would love it. Let's have some sparkling wine. That's fine.
And I have also a bottle of sweet muscat. Have you tasted sweet muscat?
I have. I bought it at the only place you could buy it is at the winery when I bought it. So I bought it from there because I have children and a wife. I have children. My wife has got a good palate, but my children are all, they like sweet wines. So
Not all.
But I like it as well. I like
Not all. Some of us know what's good, you know.
Yeah, my son is.
Please sit down.
My son is my wine.
This view is just incredible.
Yeah. Wow, he does have enough wood.
Oh, man.
You see how much you went in? it should go. It should be in about this length.
Yeah.
Right.
So our thoughts with our soldiers and our kidnapped brethren, and may the government has the tvuna to find a way out.
Amen.
Solve all the problems we are facing.
It's hard. L'chaim tovim shalom. Has there been an impact on the winery from the war?
Now?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. We didn't sell a bottle for a month.
Most of the distribution goes through restaurants and things like that, or no?
Well, also. No.
Okay. Don't worry. I'll let you eat a little bit.
For what it's worth.
They're good. They're made in Castel.
We try. We buy bottles of wine. The problem is that the wine shops have to buy it from the winery also. So we had on Shabbat. I had 2021 Petit Castel that was beautiful.
Thank you. Look, we did a lot of charity work. We have a lot of staff in the army. Soundbound,
Right.
our vineyard manager. She's an officer in the army also. So she was taken away. So, and our 3 Thai workers asked to leave. So we were left with nobody in the. And by the way, how about the wine?
It's delicious. I already tasted. It's crisp and fresh and wonderful.
What most amazes me is how small the bubbles are. And this is a sign of a good sparkling wine. No, you can feel them on your palate, on your tongue. It's.
What about you, personally? How are you impacted by it?
Look, I am a Zionist. I came to Israel out of Zionism. I took my wife, who is not a Zionist, and I convinced her to follow me. We had already a daughter, 10 months old. We came to Israel. Within a year, I was enlisted in the army for 3 months because I had 2 kids already. I was 27 years old. I managed to do 2 miluim before, 1 training and 1 miluim in the Golan Heights before the war. The war, I was 6 months in Sinai and what we used to call Africa. That means the other side of the canal, without any second thoughts, like that this had to be done. But what's happening now, it's worse than Yom Kippur. I volunteered 2 officers' course. I was in artillery. I was discharged major. There is a lot of land in danger in Israel. of before 67, like all Galilee, all the Negev, all what's happening with the Arab population is majority in Galilee. The Negev is not ours because it belongs to the Bedouins.
Yeah.
And we are looking for new ventures which will not resolve the problem of us living with the Arabs. It will not resolve. They are here to stay. We are here to stay. So what do we do now? You know, and so it's very sad for me because I am old school Zionist, you know, left wing, kibbutzim, moshavim, working the land. Today we get zero help from the government. We lost 10 million shekel on a fire in 21. We got zero money.
So I don't really honestly understand that myself because it's ridiculous. This is a huge industry in Israel, and they need to support that industry because every other country is supporting it. In the United States, you can buy a bottle of Spanish kosher wine for $10. How in the world can you ship a bottle of Spanish kosher wine, make it, and it's not bad wine, and ship it and deliver it and have the distributor make a profit on it at $10? It's like crazy.
That means it was sold for $2 or $3.
Right.
At the winery. All the Europeans, and I have a lot, they come to visit.
Right.
They at one point, you know, they see the winery in the Castel Winery in Yad HaShmona, and they said, how much help did you get to build this? You know, because if I would have built it in France, let's say, between 25 to 35% subsidies I would have got from the States or from Europe.
Right.
You know, every tractor you buy, you get a subsidy on it. And we don't get anything, you know. And this is the main reason, you know, why winemaking in Israel is expensive. Because people say, the kashrut is expensive. The kashrut is not expensive. You know, anyway, I needed a winemaking staff. I am limited in my choice by religious Jews, but and I'm very happy with them, by the way. I have fantastic staff. I think our head, what are we, 22, 23?
We're in 23.
Yeah. So I think Ishai, it's so long, I can't remember how long. It's over 12 years. A brilliant mind, intelligent, very good memory, developed to be a very good taster. He's become a winemaker. You know, he's not a mashgiach, he's a winemaker. And we have David, who lives in Telstone. Comes with a bicycle, and he manages all the barrel room. You know, it's 1,300 barrels, and all by hand. They, as you said, you know, there are no racks, no forklifts to put them in. Every barrel is emptied with a pump in its place, put on a trolley, taken to the washroom, which you cannot see in the washroom. Next time you come, I'll show it to you because it's my invention of how to wash the barrels. And every barrel is taken by hand, emptied of the lees, washed, steamed, and brought back. and And there are 2 times a year when most of it happens, and it starts in May, and the second time is during the winemaking. And you know, why I like to have barrels, it's because I like to grow my wines separately, every parcel in the vineyard, which is also a variety. So I have my Cabernet from Samech Bet Shtayim Betzuba.
Wow.
And it will go into a tank. From the tank, you never know exactly how much. You cannot put it, the juice or the free run into another tank, because it will not be full. But when you have barrels, so you can have exactly, and then you can have all your press wines separately, and it works. So, and we do tasting. We do tasting, you know, it's the name of the vineyard, the type of vines, and how many barrels of it you have.
I've seen the pictures of you when you do the blending. Wow, that's like, people don't realize how much effort that is.
Hello, somebody said on your podcast, winemakers live in fear. The fear of difficult weather during the growing season, and then the fear to have missed the right time to pick, or to have picked too early or too late. And then fermentation can be stuck, successful fermentation, and then the quality of the wine, and until the day you put it in bottle. And it is not that really the fear ends, but then you know you can't do anything about it anymore. A wine critic who gave me a low mark on a wine, on a Grand Vin. And then a few years later, this asked to taste the wine at all the vintages. So, and he gave me 2 or 3 more points on the second tasting. So what the shit, you know?
Yeah.
My job is to make a wine, and once I put the cork in, I can't change my mind anymore. Why? His business is to know at the first tasting what is the potential of the wine, and not have to taste it 5 years later and say, you know...
Got it wrong, yeah.
He doesn't say it.
Never would say that. I love your quote. Your quote is, "History will remember wines and wineries, not critics." Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Very true.
We don't do shows anymore, except for the local
Right.
Mate Yehuda. We support, from the beginning, we support the region. You know, we have the quartet, the Viennese quartet, and we support the region because the administration of the region since the 90s has supported wineries. All the wineries in Israel, the small wineries, are breaking the law,
Right.
because the law in Israel does not allow them to make a winery out of their
Out of what's called a plot of land.
their sheds.
Yeah.
Which are empty anyway. They used to grow chicken, they don't anymore. Wow. And the local government has, although it has the authority to close them down, does not close them down.
Has looked the other way.
Look, yeah.
Just making some of the best wine in the world. Maybe, yeah, bootleg.
Yeah, exactly. So I support them. I support the local authority, and we take part in their wine festivals. But you know, wine shows are very expensive, and it doesn't really help for the business.
It doesn't. You don't have enough bottles.
No, I have
bad
enough bottles, but it's,
You don't need it for the reputation at this point.
yeah, we don't need it anymore.
The biggest mistake I made in my life was making Aliyah 50 years after wanting to make Aliyah.
For me, it was very, very clear and simple. You know, as I told you, my father was a armchair Zionist, and in '67 I was at the University of Geneva. The Syrian students would say to us, you know, this time we'll throw you all into the sea. There were 3 weeks of not knowing what will happen, you know, from the moment Nasser asked for the UN to withdraw and close the Gulf of Alat.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to get married in July '67. But the first plane that left Switzerland the day after the war, I came as a volunteer. And 2 months later, my future wife came. Eventually, we got married in December. But I decided this is where I want to live, and I'll come back. I'm back in 70. Parnassa was difficult until the Mamma Mia restaurant. Very difficult. I went from one job to the other in agriculture and also in jobs around agriculture. The restaurant really gave us, changed us, our situation financially. We didn't become millionaires, but we became well off. From poor, we became well off.
Why did you change then? Why did you decide to close the restaurant?
Oh, the restaurant went bankrupt.
Oh.
Well, it didn't go bankrupt in the sense that it was closed. It was not working anymore. And it was not working anymore because of the second Intifada. Tourists didn't come.
Right.
People didn't go to restaurants because the restaurants were blowing up everywhere in town, in Jerusalem.
Yep.
So we were losing money. Also, the bank didn't want to recognize the wine stock as a collateral, and
Yeah, that's really difficult.
yeah, and so that was the end of the restaurant. And in a way, luckily, we had started the winery professionally in '96, because until '96 we were, it was a hobby, and so it's really very lucky that we had an alternative. Also, it was not still viable, but wine being a product that does not go to waste, and by 2004 we were out of it.
With all the adversity, when did you realize that you were going to be successful? Was that the 2004? Or do you ever realize that you're going to be successful?
Look, I'm a difficult person to convince. For example, the restaurant, I was out of work in the middle of 1980. I had an American friend from the army, who was a guide. We were making fresh pasta at home, and he used to come to eat with us. And one day he said, if you open a restaurant, I put $5,000. That's what we did, and He was with us for 1 year. After 1 year, he went away with 10,000. It was a big success. So, but my wife was determined and convinced that this was the right thing to do. And I went along. I didn't have any gut feeling about it. And I went along. With the winery, when Serena Sutcliffe wrote the facts in 1995 to Dalia Perlerner Zal, who brought her the bottle, saying that this was probably the best Israeli wine she ever tasted. But she also said something which very, very important, apart from the compliment and classic and a real tour de force in French. But she wrote something very, very convincing for me. She wrote, the terroir must be right. The height, the clone of the grapes. This was very important for me. I'm not a religious person, but I live here and not in Ramat Gan.
Yeah.
And I have a plot of land, and I am agriculturally minded, and suddenly, it's as if I am in the right place at the right moment. And so at that point, I had a definitely gut feeling that this is what I should do. Because also of my background, like multilingual, cosmopolitan, very European.
What prompted Razíel?
Razíel is because we had a winery. We had a winery. Although, as you saw, we invested a lot to change the equipment. The tanks have become wooden tanks, but we had the winery, and the choice was, the idea was to make something new. Usually, wineries have small and large, have different types of wines of different regions of the world. They make Cabernets, but they also make Syrah, and they also make Argaman, and so on, and Petit Verdot. By the way, I brought Petit Verdot to Israel, although hardly anybody remembers. But I brought it from Davis against the decision of the Ministry of Agriculture, who bought a lot of, it was 97, and they wrote a list of new grapes to Israel. And I said, where is Petit Verdot? And I said, but if you want to fight and bring it, it's your decision.
Yeah.
And I had to fight the Haganat HaTzomeach, how to bring it. They said you can only bring it from Davis, California.
Yeah.
And
UC Davis.
Yeah, UC Davis, and I did. And so I don't believe in varietal wines. And even our Chardonnay, it's not called Chardonnay on the label. I believe in blends, and the Chardonnay is an exception. I like blends.
Yeah.
And once I was at a tasting where the winemaker of Mouton Rothschild was there, and he was asked why Bordeaux makes blends. And so he said, why should I tie my hand behind my back? Sometimes this plot is better, sometimes the other plot. The Cabernet is very good this year, but and the Merlot less, so I'll put less Merlot. And so I have a philosophy that a winery should not do too much. As I told you before, for 6 years we did only Grand Vin. Then we did, in 98, we did the first Petit Castel and a trial of Chardonnay, which blew me up completely. It was, I couldn't believe what I tasted. So the decision was to make also a white wine, a Chardonnay. In 2009, we did our first rosé. And 10 we didn't make because it was very hot. And we missed the time to pick the grapes. But it's a wine we can't make enough of. My kids were against it. They said, Abba, you taught us that 3 wines it's enough, and now you come with a pushed wine, with a simple wine. And I said, but it's so good, and our clients will appreciate this drink in the summer. And when we moved to the new winery, we didn't want to make too much of what we already had, like Petit Castel and Grand Vin, and we thought we should have an entry-level wine, the La Vie, La Vie Red and La Vie White, which is simple but very, very good value for money. It's you can drink it every day. It's fulfilling. It's very fruity. And the Sauvignon Blanc of the La Vie White, in my opinion, is really for the money. It's one of the best. And so, what do we do now? We do Syrah in Castel, like everybody does, and it is not in our school. So, with the winery in Ramat Razíel being available, it was ideal to make new things, new varieties, and a new style wine. So we have the Razíel Red. The Rosé Razíel is also barrel fermented. You've tasted it.
Yep. It's delicious.
The new vintage.
Yeah.
It is a wine that it's not a light rosé. It's a really mid-body rosé with which goes very, very well with food.
Yeah.
We make sparkling wine, which is quite an adventure.
I don't know how in the world people get into that. I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It takes wine and makes it 3 times as difficult. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've got to ferment it, you've got to go through all the process, and then you've got to go through the disgorgement. And
you have to ferment it twice.
Yeah.
If ever I do something, I want to do it completely. And I'm lucky that the family is accepting to make the investments. For example, we have nearly 800 dunams of vineyards, all more or less in between 650 and 800 meters altitude. Mm-hmm. And they're all on both sides of the highway. 2/3 of them we are tending ourselves. 1/3 is in Kibbutz Suba, with whom I've been working since '97, and so from very early, I told my son Ariel, the most important is to get our hands on land. There's a very little available land in the
Judean
up
Hills.
here.
Yeah.
Very, very little, because it's so stony. So, it's look at the hill across the valley. You can't plant anything there.
Yeah, it's all stones.
But we succeeded with Malech HaMisha and Neve Ilan. And by the way, Beit Meir is the only vineyard I can see from my house. My vineyard. You see the antenna?
Yep.
You go down the
Yes, I can see it. The flat.
white buildings.
Yep.
Under the white buildings, you can see now for the scenery it's gray.
Yes, but I can see it. I
This
can
is
see the flat area.
Mourvedre. You have tasted.
Yep.
You have tasted.
That's it. Wow. What do you like the most about the business? What's always been the thing that's driven you in the business?
When I decided in '75, after Serena Sutcliffe wrote about all the compliments about the wine, I imagined something different of what I got in the end. So as I told you, there was no dream, and there was no goal. We were making a small amount of wine, 2,000, 3,000 bottles, buying grapes because the small plot was not enough. So we were buying grapes, making only one wine, which is most difficult to make only one wine, because all what you make will go into that wine. You cannot say, like we do today, this is not good enough for Grand Vin, it will become Petit Castel, and this is not enough for Petit Castel, it will become La Vie Rouge. So, then whatever you got, you made. And then I read, then we planted first vineyard 96, and then the vineyards in Suba 97. And but my dream was what I imagined would be at the time, when I got that gut feeling that that's what I want to do, was that I will work about 6 months a year, and 6 months I'll be able to travel around the world.
It's a good dream.
Yeah. The business is 2 minutes walk from the house,
right?
And once the wine is in the barrel, there's not much to do, and so on. But it's not that. You still have to sell it, and it has become a full-time job. But it's a fantastic occupation, because you have everything in it. You have agriculture, and really, it's not stam. It's not just a saying that wine is made in the vineyard. And wine is really made in the vineyard. You cannot improve good grapes or bad grapes. So really, you have agriculture.
Yeah.
And maybe we buy only 10% of the grapes we use. Definitely we buy the grapes for the sparkling wine. And then the rest, we have, for example, we have Grenache planted, but and Carignan planted, but they're not in production yet, so we buy some. But the idea in the end is to use only our, and we learned a lot. We learned a lot about irrigation, completely different from the irrigation done in Israel, or what we were taught to do by the Ministry of Agriculture instructors at the beginning.
What was different about if you don't mind saying, what's different about the irrigation that they were telling you that's...
We were taught not to irrigate until the growth of the shoots will slow down, and you can see it when it slows down. You know, the links between where the leaves are on the shoot are large at the beginning and become smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be usually around June, sometimes even the end of June. And then to start irrigating. And then we saw in the vineyards places where the canopy would not grow at its full capacity. So we started asking questions, and then we found a research in the University of Montpellier in France about irrigation. We saying exactly completely the opposite. The vine should grow without stress until veraison, when the grapes change color.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to keep them unstressed during that period, which will last until about July, depending on the variety. But and then stress them. And then stress them. Stress them to give them, first of all, a message. Stop growing leaves and take care of the new
babies.
generation, the babies. And but to do that correctly, you have to do another operation. First of all, this is expensive because it's a little more water than what we used to give. One. Second, you have to crop all the time the vine on top because of the growth, because you're giving water at the time of growth, so that the growth is even more vigorous, so you have to crop. So it's more expensive to do that, but at the same time, you have to check the water potential in the vine, this is an operation we do every single parcel in the vineyard once a week. It's the job of 2 people, 2 days. In the 2 days, because we do it in all the vineyards. Mm-hmm. And this gives you, by a method of trying to take out a drop of water, the first drop of water out of the stem of a leaf, how much vacuum you have to get that drop.
I was going to ask you how you do that. That's brilliant, to use a vacuum to figure out how much water is in there and how...
So at the beginning of the season, you will have values of -4, -5. By the time of veraison, you should not be more than -9, -10. And then when you start irrigating again, you keep on checking, but by the end of veraison, you start, you try to keep the vineyard at about between -12 and -15. and this is so practically, and until the harvest, we have our hands on the growth, how much water, and how much we give, and it's always, and also the weather, like this year, which was a very hot year, we were irrigating much more so that the stress would be as small as possible. Now, we didn't have damage in the vineyard this year. No bunches have crippled themselves, dried up, or anything. What we don't know about the 23 vintage is what did the heat do to the grapes? That means, okay, we lost acidity. It tastes fine now, but in the long run, we don't really know what really happened, what really has changed, maybe potentially. But
you can't just taste that in the grapes and the juice that's coming out now.
We can't. We don't taste any difference now.
Okay.
But I don't know in the long run.
Okay.
We're very satisfied for the time being with the vintage. There's also, we're investing really a lot of energy and money in our vineyards. We are in the process. We are in the sixth year of conversion into organic grow. Handling of the vintage of the vineyard.
Yeah.
It had been a preoccupation of mine for a long time, but we had to solve other problems before, like making wine, making good wine, selling the wine, paying back the bank, because many people think we have partners in the winery. We don't. The only partner we have is the bank. And also, when we had to shut down Mamma Mia, all our debts were in the bank. We didn't owe a single penny to anybody, except we paid everybody at the bank, what we owed was we owed it to the bank. So first of all, you have agriculture in this business, which is very, 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 very important. And the Romans used to say that in every new territory they invaded, they planted vines. You know why? They planted vines to show the local population that they're there to stay.
It's a good symbol.
Yeah.
That's a really good symbol.
So this is the first the first positive aspect of winemaking. Winemaking as a winemaker and owner of a winery. The second is you dealing. I'm not a chemist, but I understand a bit. What's happening. Fermentation is something extraordinary. There's a lot of talk about spontaneous fermentation or whatever. Whatever yeast ferments your grapes do not come from the vineyard. The vineyard, the yeast that comes on the skin of the grapes is minimal. Really, it's in your equipment, in your building, in your tanks. This is what you have as a natural local yeast, and the way we ferment, it's dangerous, but this is what we do. We cold soak the grapes for a long time, between a week and 10 days.
Wow.
And even with the very low temperature of about 6 degrees, it begins to ferment. It begins to ferment with indigenous, in inverted commas, yeast. But then we put commercial yeast or industrial yeast, whatever.
Yeah. Your selected yeast. Because it's not like just industrial yeast. You pick the yeast that you want to.
Yeah, and the yeast I pick has been selected.
Yeah, right.
This is the right word to use. And then what happens, in fact, we get the first taste of the indigenous, but we get the finish of the selected.
Yeah.
And I think this is part of the taste. This is not a secret. This is, I have no secrets in winemaking. In my experience, winemakers have been, are you in a hurry?
No.
Winemakers have been very good to me all over the world. Everyone tells his whatever he does and has no secrets. But because it's not like cooking, you cannot copy really, because you have another terroir, another climate. You can do the same thing and get different results. And in the end, I had to decide which kind, what made more sense to me to make wine. And this is what we decided. Very long, it's rich people winemaking. In the tank for a week to 10 days of cold soaking, another 10 days at least of or more of fermentation, then alcoholic fermentation. So already we're in 30 days, and usually we go up to 40. Now, it means that those tanks cannot be used twice in the season.
In the season, right.
That means it limits your capacity of winemaking. But we have found that the exchange between the skins and the wine in long macerations, it's as if at the beginning there is extraction from the wine, extracting from the skins, a lot. And if you would do, you would separate them, then you will have more in the wine than in the skins. But if you give them more time, the wine will give back to the skins, because they will try to go back into a balanced medium, that not one has more than the other. And wow. And this is Castel. This is the time in the tank. So all this part of the winemaking and the pumping and not pumping and what kind of pump and so on appeals to me very much. So two aspects are already very, and then you have the tasting with people and the exchange. Asaf Paz told you about his answer. Why we won't make peace with the Arabs is because they don't drink wine. It's exactly, it's so important to sit around a table with a bottle of wine. And lately, a new friend on Facebook, who is Lebanese Christian, winemaker living in France. And at one point he wrote, nothing like a good wine to solve problems. And I said, this is exactly our problem.
I agree. I agree. You know, I don't want to go against the religion, but I agree.
And then there is the art part, the choice of the bottle, the labeling.
But you picked a label.
I made a label.
I know, but the label you picked for Granville was from the very beginning.
Yeah,
It's not changed. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I'd like your meticulous attention and caring about all of the details. It makes a huge difference. You can taste it.
But maybe the biggest challenge for me today, of course, apart from every year, you know, you finish a vintage and you say next year we will do, we learn from this vintage to do this and this and that. Next year we'll do different from what we did this year, and there's full of expectation. And you finish a vintage and you're already thinking of the next vintage, and what changes you will do. So really, but the most important thing is challenge is the vineyard, and we are really, you know, the vineyards are our responsibility. They are ours, except for Tsuba. And with Tsuba, our relationship is such that really they do exactly what we want. And
this mirrors exactly what I heard at Flum. I know they're your partners in the quartet,
yes,
but they're trying very hard. I think they're behind you as far as timing is concerned, but they're trying very hard to get into control of their own vineyards and their own destiny and their own future.
They came a bit late with that understanding that, and it's difficult to find land.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to find land.
I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. You've been in this business for a long time. You've been in Israel for a long time. Are there any lessons that you've learned from it that you, I mean, you've been describing lessons all through this session, but is there any overall lessons that you've learned in dealing in the wine business and dealing
No, but I have
in Israel?
another one, because this podcast will be heard all over the world.
Yes.
When I was a student at the University of Jerusalem, I was given a job by the Jewish agency to the offices in Geneva were the central offices for Europe, and I don't know if it exists today, but there was a Tnuat Aliyah that I was organizing. They gave me to organize Tnuat Aliyah, and the World Union of Jewish Students, WUJS, also. And the guy who gave me my boss was not in the office in Geneva, he was in Jerusalem, a religious Jew, Naftali Bar Giora. Naftali, I have tears when I think of it. Naftali Bar Giora, afterwards, his cousin's children worked for me at Mamma Mia. Wow. Naftali Bar Giora was Bamberger.
Okay.
Bamberger Bar Giora. And he said to me, you know, if you want to succeed in Aliyah, there is only one way. You burn all your bridges.
So there's no going back.
There's no way back. You come and you have to make a success out of it. Because and he gave me examples of lawyers, American lawyers, taking a year off from their partners and giving a year to give them a different answer, and then finding themselves in the impossible situation of what do I do now. And that's it. We came here. It was not easy. I'm sure that thanks to my wife, and who was the hero of the Yom Kippur War, she was left here for 6 months, 3 kids, 1 to 4, and 12 horses, 2,000 chicken.
Wow.
And no driving license. She used to take the bus with the little one in her arms to town to have driving lessons, and she would put on the instructor's lap the baby.
Wow.
And and we made it. I was lucky that we made it. We could have also not made it.
I don't know if you could have not made it. I'm telling you, you're, from what I've observed, your drive and your, you don't just let things go. You pick up everything that you see, and it's important.
Yeah, to me it is important.
Yeah, no, but it is important.
But it is the machala.
It's an obsession. Yes, I know. But without that obsession, it's very hard to get things done. It's very hard to get things done. Thank you very much for being on the Kosher Terroir. This is Simon Jacob again, your host of today's episode of the Kosher Terroir. I have a personal request. No matter where you are or where you live, please take a moment to pray for our soldiers' safety and the safe and rapid return of our hostages, and whenever possible, buy and share Israeli wine. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the Kosher Terroir. It was exciting and informative for me as well. Please subscribe via your podcast provider to be informed of our new episodes as they are released. If you're new to the Kosher Terroir, please check out our many past episodes. Again, thank you for listening to the Kosher Terroir. The Kosher Terroir is also available on the Nachum Segal Network at 6:30 p.m. New York time, Thursday evening, and on the world-famous NSN app.